This week you're going to evaluate a map and do a little bit of research related to urbanization and slums. So I have two data layers on a map that I created from using data from the World Bank. The first layer shows the percent of the urban population that is considered to be living in slum conditions, and they're identifying slums as individuals that are living under one roof where the building is not safe or the durability is poor. There's no improved water or sanitation, or there's too many people living in that area. The second data layer is about the improved sanitation facilities in urban areas. So the percent of the people that have access to improved sanitation. And they're talking about flush toilets or poor toilets that have some kind of ventilation, or where the human waste is going somewhere than just into trenches or into the water table. And that's basically to ensure hygiene. You'll notice if you open up some of the data layers that there are data values indicated as 999, negative 999, and that's a standard value that says there was no data available. I also created a field called change that shows improvements or deprovements or declines in the amount of availability or the availability of sanitation. So if a country has a less percentage of sanitation available, then the value will be negative. If they've improved the general sanitation, the value will be positive. And if there's no change, the value will be 0. So when you access the map, you'll get something like this. I'm going to ask you to do some evaluation with the map. And so the first one is the percent of sanitation, and the second one is the percent of the urban population that lives in slums. And so I'm going to evaluate Mexico, which will not be one of the options you have this week. So if I zoom into Mexico, and I'm just using the roller on my mouse, but you could do positive or negative here. If I click this with my left mouse button on a PC, I get to access the data table, and it shows me that the actual percentage of slum residents, percent of the urban slums in Mexico is 11.10%. So that means of all the cities in Mexico, 11.10% of the urban areas, people are living in substandard housing. And then it shows that in 1990, 78% of the people had access to sanitation. It's improved by almost 10% here. So in 2014, it was 88%. So they've had an improvement in their sanitation rate overall. And so when I go to the CIA World Factbook, which is open right here, and I look at Mexico, I can see that their general urbanization, so they've got about 79.2% of their total population lives in urban areas, but the rate of urbanization is relatively low. So that means that the city is not growing at such a fast rate as you may see in some other places. And so it would make sense then that they're able to improve sanitation because the rate of improvement of sanitation is not falling behind the rate of urbanization. So I'm going to compare that to Haiti. So when I look here, I see that the green circle is small, meaning they don't have a lot of sanitation, a high percent of sanitation, but the purple circle is pretty big, meaning that they have a lot of people living in slums. So if I click on this, it shows that the percent of people living in slums in Haiti is about 74% of the population in urban areas is living in substandard housing. And then I can look at the sanitation change. Boy, it hasn't changed very much in the last several years. So it's only like 0.5% of change. Well, when we look at Haiti's statistics here, I'm seeing that, where am I? Urbanization. So only 58% of the population is in urban areas. That's a lot less than Mexico. The rate of urbanization is definitely higher. It's 3%. So why is this lag in Haiti? What is going on? Well, if you kind of look at some of the natural disasters, Haiti's had a horrible earthquake, and then is in general just an impoverished country, and had a huge hurricane that keeps that country from developing or being able to use resources in that way. So what I want you to do is to pick a couple of these areas. You're going to describe the general pattern of kind of regional world pattern of urban slums, and then take a look at at two of these places and try to determine what is going on. Do they just have a lot of people moving into the area, and so they can't keep up with sanitation? Has there been civil war? Just try to figure out from the little bit of data I gave you and what you have available in the CIA World Fact Book, what could be happening in the two places you decide to research.